HRV, heart rate variability. Is it the best way to score yourself on overall well-being? I think potentially yes, and I'm going to talk about it today and explain why I believe that. Right now, I don't think there is a better all-round measure of how you're doing with everything in terms of your well-being: exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress, all that jazz. It is something, if you haven't heard of it yet, I think you're going to hear about it more and more over the next, let's say, months or years. I've seen it now being measured on my Apple Watch, so I think we are in that section now where technology is getting good enough to bring this to the mainstream. So have a listen. I'm going to explain what it is, why it's important to you, how it can help your fat loss, and hopefully it'll help you today. So picture this. You set about on a new exercise regime because you want to lose some fat. You got a holiday in the summer. You're thinking, I want to lean up. Now's my time. You've heard that high intensity interval training is good. It works. You've seen all the photos, the before and afters on the internet, and you thought, yes, mate, that's a bit of me. So you've gone all in. You've done 4, maybe even 5 HIIT sessions a week. Absolutely slammed it. You've cut your calories right down because you know you need to be in a deficit to lose some body fat. You are on it. You're working hard, pushing yourself to its limits. And then it gets to week 3, week 4, maybe week 5 if you're strong. You've made it that far and you just cave. The results haven't come how you imagined it. You've hit a wall. You're gutted, disappointed. HIIT training hasn't worked for you. You got no idea why. Too often I see this happen, and it's something I think you can avoid if you are more aware of the importance of balance. And I'm not talking about standing on one leg, juggling balls around the front room. I'm talking about balance of intensities of exercise, or balance of your lifestyle as a whole, and how important it is to look at all elements aside from HIIT training or whatever the trendy thing is right now for fat loss. You need to be aware of exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress, emotional state, everything in your life you need to be aware of if you want to move forward and get results. I am banging on and on to my clients about the importance of it. I try to educate on how you can vary workouts to get better results. It's not always about high intensity training, as good as it is. I think having a balance overall is the most progressive way to move forward. And then the sub side of things, i.e. well-being and how healthy you are in the long term, needs to be considered. And the best measure for me right now, and the best way of you gauging that, aside from photos, scales, measurements, all that other stuff that we go to, is something called HRV, heart rate variability. Something I've known about for a few years. It has been around, I would say, in the sort of elite sport world more so for a long time. Research is ongoing on it, but if you Googled HRV right now, you'll see lots and lots of research on the topic, many people giving advice, lots of technology out there that enables us, normal people, to track our HRV. So if it's something you're interested in, it's accessible. But my reason for the podcast today is I've seen that my Apple Watch has started tracking HRV in the background on the health app, which for me is a clear sign. If Apple are doing it, it's going to be mainstream very soon. So I want to raise my views on it, what I've learnt about it, and how I think just an awareness of it can help you today with your fat loss results. And I'm sticking with the fat loss because that tends to be what my clients come to me for. But you've got to understand that HRV, heart rate variability, is an all-rounder. It can be applied to anybody. So whether you're an elite athlete, you are looking for that fat loss, or you just want to feel better about yourself every day, live a little longer. This can be beneficial for you. It's ultimately a measurement of the variation in your heartbeats. So I think often we look at our resting heart rate as a measure. People may have looked at that. And let's say, for example, your resting heart rate was 60 beats per minute. That would be classed as normal. Your heart doesn't necessarily beat on the second every second for those 60 beats per minute. There is a variation in those beats. So it might be one happens at 0.8 seconds, the next one happens at 1.9 seconds, so on and so forth. A variation in heartbeats is actually good. With HRV, a high variation has proven to be a sign of good health, good well-being. And it's a clear indicator that your body is, let's say, relaxed or in control of itself, and it's enabling the heart to just beat as and when it wants and be calm. The higher stressed you are, should we say, the more kind of rigid and your heartbeat is, and therefore your HRV would be deemed lower. So there isn't much variation in it, and that's seen as a negative. I shouldn't use the word negative, but it's not as good. We tend to look for freedom with our heart rate variability. And I won't go into the details of figures and scores. There's loads of different apps, and people will show you it differently. You might get a score out of 100 on some apps, a rating or just a general guide for that day. Ultimately, all you need to understand is if you have good variability in your heartbeats, that is a sign that you are in good health and your well-being is good. And our goal really is to have that all the time. And our exercise regime, our nutrition, our sleep and all that stuff should help that. It shouldn't inhibit that. So when I said the example at the very beginning of people going into high intensity training and doing it lots, doing it often is the worst thing for them to do. If you've got a lot of high stress, high intensity stuff going on in your life, just generally, you've got high stress at work potentially, you've got kids at home like I've got giving you grief, you've got little sleep in your life, everything's high intensity, high stress, and then I'm going and adding high intensity training on top of this, my body can't handle it, and the balance is wrong. Heart rate variability shows us that. It shows us through a scoring system how well our balance is being controlled, should we say, how well imbalanced you are right now. If you want to lose body fat, you need to achieve optimal balance. You can't be giving it too much, too hard all the time. You'll either burn out, or at best you'll keep going, but you'll drain yourself to a point where you don't actually lose any body fat because your body's not in a relaxed enough state to do so. And I don't want that to happen because I know it's disheartening. It makes you feel bad, and you've put in all that effort and you just don't see the results for it. It's all about awareness of yourself, everything in your life, what's going on right now. How is exercise going to impact or help or hinder that? How will my diet choices help or hinder that? And think of it globally. If you are right now in a high stress state, consider trying different workouts. Do something more fun. Do something that makes you feel relaxed. Without even scoring your HRV, let's say you have no interest in downloading an app or tracking HRV, and I totally understand that because I've tried it and I've only ever sustained it really for 1 or 2 months at a time because it's quite a drag at the moment. You have to physically stare at a screen and breathe for 60 seconds, 90 seconds on some apps, and you find an excuse not to do it. So I totally get it. Think about 2 nervous systems. One's called the sympathetic nervous system, one's called the parasympathetic nervous system. These are both automated within our bodies, and to some degree, when you're stimulating those. Sympathetic nervous system, in summary, is anything in your life right now that puts you in what we call fight or flight mode. Anything high stress, shall we say. Anything that's demanding something out of the norm for your body. It could be stress at work. It could be those kids tugging at your leg, as I've said. It could be high intensity interval training. Any of those things that add intensity or stress on your life are attacking your sympathetic nervous system. On the opposite side, the parasympathetic nervous system, that's anything that's calming or relaxing for you. Rest and digest system, we call it. Think of a casual walk through the forests, hearing the birds tweeting away. Think of sitting on a sun lounger, reading your favourite book on your Kindle. Think meditation, think yoga. Basically anything you do that makes you feel calm. And then understand the balance between the two. So if right now as you sit here, a lot of your life is filled with sympathetic fight or flight, high intensity stuff, look to balance it out with some form of parasympathetic stimulation, rest or digest, whether it be through exercise choice, doing something more fun, something more calming, should we say. Weirdly, playing football for me, although it's running around, can act as a calming thing for me. I find that because it's something I love and I just enjoy doing, that can have that effect on me. It will be different for all of us, but it's absolutely critical that you understand it's important for you if you want to, A, improve your overall well-being and live longer and actually survive at a happier rate, or B, lose body fat. And that is important to a lot of us. Certainly my clients listening to this, you come to me because you want to lose body fat, lose weight, whatever it is your goal. If you are always high intensity, always hard, and never giving yourself a chance to relax, you won't do it. You will not get the results you want. And I do not want that to happen because it's so disheartening, so disappointing to have that happen to people. You are in charge of what you do each and every day. I want you to have the strength and the courage to amend your workouts if you need to. If you've planned a heavyweight session or a really hard, intense exercise session today, but you know you've had a right drag of a day, work's been horrific, you've not slept, you're feeling down in the dumps, it's probably not the best thing for you. Go for a little walk, go for a little relaxing swim, whatever it is you need to do, and understand in the long term it's going to pay off. It really will. I'm sitting here, I've just come from Disneyland for 5 days with the kids. In my head, that was going to be my calming 5 days. It was holiday. It was going to be lovely. I'll come back feeling refreshed. I am battered. I'm here with the sniffles. I've been pegging it around some park. Me and Katie were tracking our steps. It was at least 20,000 steps a day, at least. Some days it was 15, 16, 17 kilometres. I think we did 13, 14 miles one day. I said, I've done a half marathon today, babe. It was intense. We loved it. The kids loved it. It's a holiday we'll always remember. But ultimately, it's battered me. I'm not going to the gym today. I'm not doing high intensity exercise for probably a couple of days. I'll see how I feel. And I'm happy with that. I'm empowered by that. However bad I ate, and there was buffets, too many buffets on the holiday. So I feel like I want to exercise hard, but I know that it's just not the right thing. I'm going to batter myself. I won't move forward, and it can wait. I'll be back on Thursday, Friday this week, and I'll be doing high intensity stuff. I'll be feeling good. You need to do the same. I want you to feel like you have the courage and the strength to do the same. Be in charge of what you do. Exercise is something we have choice over. Other stresses in life we don't necessarily have choice over, but it's being aware of those scenarios and making modifications as and when you need them to. And that's what HRV, heart rate variability, is a really powerful tool to help us understand. If you are in a place where you are going to start tracking it, and as I've said, there's lots of free apps available right now. If you search it in the app stores or Google, there are methods you can do it. You'll be getting daily sort of visuals on where you're at. So that's a really effective way of seeing it, and that's why I'm mentioning it today. I hope that in the near future we'll all have access to it when it's made a bit simpler for us, whether that's through our trackable watches or magic pills, whatever it is that's going to help us track it. That's a great thing. But without it, an awareness of the overall balance of your life is something today you can come away with and know of its importance. And hopefully today's podcast has inspired you a little bit to start thinking about that. Certainly with this summer holidays looming, very, very prime time for people to give it large in the gym or whatever. It's a marathon, not a sprint, people. You've got plenty of time. You know, the holiday season is a little way away yet. You've got time. Pace yourself. Know you're in it for the long haul. And if you truly want to change, if you truly think fat loss and weight loss is going to help your life, then you've got to understand it's not all about going hard. Not all about that. It's about finding your balance, putting yourself in an optimal state and being able to change and amend as and when you can, whether that be through tracking HRV or just having an understanding of how you feel each day. That is the message from today's podcast. It is something I'll visit again. As I've said, you can look into it more anywhere now. Google, wherever you want to see. Find out whatever you want to find. Do comment and message me if you've listened to this and you've had some thoughts on it. Email me, message on social, wherever it is. Get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Hear your experiences on it. And any opinions, the same or different to mine, love to hear them. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're coming every Tuesday with topics such as this. I'll have guests back on from next week. Katie's going to be here on Friday to give her thoughts on HRV and Disneyland, no doubt. She was a Disney guru, so that'll be exciting. And I look forward to hearing from you all. Thanks. Have a great day.
You've been listening to the Fit with Frank podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now so you can be first to be notified of new episodes released every week, where Frank dives deep, chats with some of the finest guests across the health and fitness industry, alongside inspiring stories from people just like you, so we can inspire and hopefully empower you to lead a happier, healthier lifestyle. Have fun.